I would like to talk about West Ham's key performance so far this season. So, again, I appreciate it's only been 7 games into the league and we've only played 2 games in the Europa League, but there have been, and we'll park the Brentford result aside. You've had your therapy session, so we'll talk a little bit about the positives. Some really stark improvements from some of our attacking midfielders. I want to start with Jared, actually, because I think Jared's a player that, again, a lot of people have plugged his inconsistency. That did happen at spells last season. I've always been a massive fan of Jared Bowen because of defensively what he offers. And I think that he's a player, still a young player, that's going to develop and improve in the final third. And there are just things in his game and statistically that suggest that he is getting towards the player that I think a lot of West Ham fans are excited about. I want to talk about him more as a ball carrier. And I think at times last season, you look at the positions that he was in, he's very deep and he's defensive, and his role is to carry the ball from deeper areas. But what we're seeing this season, particularly with West Ham, trying to dominate possession a little bit more. Bowen's getting more into that final third. And what we're seeing is how effective he can be in the ball in attracting players and beating players. And of course, we've seen how good his feet are. The only thing he misses, of course, is that composure in front of goal. But for me, what's been stark is his effectiveness in the final third now, him creating chances for himself, creating chances for others. You see the finish against Brentford with his weak foot. It is only a matter of time before Jared, when he starts to develop a bit of composure, starts to chalk up more goals, starts to chalk up more assists. And he did do well, to be fair, last season. So I think the way that West Ham have slightly changed is suiting his style of play. And we're seeing a lot more of that. I think him, and just on the odd occasion, I've seen him use his body a little bit better. Obviously, Bowen isn't physically imposing. He isn't a player that's going to hold up the ball necessarily. But I have been impressed with how he's starting to use his body a little bit more effectively. He's shielding the ball. And I think by him doing that more effectively, we are seeing him progressing the ball and taking on players a little bit more and allowing West Ham to get further forward. So he's definitely developed that in his play. I will leave this little assessment on Jared Bowen with the stat. I know it's only been 7 games so far, but last season he was creating around 2.5 shot creating actions per 90. He's doubled that already this season, nearly 5. It's not quite double, but nearly there. So that shows you how effective he is. And I think with some of these players in particular, Benrahma, Jared Bowen, the improvement in the stats is, I think, is coming from how West Ham are playing and how there is a more of an emphasis on those attacking midfielders and how they're in the right positions to be a little bit more clinical and effective. Side Benrahma, the stats don't really show too much difference in terms of him as a player. And I guess in an eye test, I've always said that him making runs off the ball, making himself available has been key for his improvement in the transition. I think what we've also seen this season and what I saw against Leeds was he's using his body better. I think he's driving with the ball better. We know he's got fantastic dribbling skills. He's still attempting and he's still having the same amount of successful dribbles per 90, but he's doing it in the final third more so. He's being more effective. He's really become more fine-tuned with this team. Where he's got his goals from, of course, is by the movement into the box, and it is by getting into the right positions, and he's thrived in the number 10. So I think that's been really positive to see. I think him playing in the number 10 has allowed him to start to collate a lot more key passes. And again, I go back to how West Ham are playing this season. There is, although we do see it in some games, but we see it more from Bowen and Fornals. Last season, we were seeing Benrahma being played off the left-hand side, and we lost a little bit there in terms of his defensive work rate, the protection that he had to give to Cress. In fairness to Benrahma, and I don't think what I haven't quite delved down into the stats on, is defensively his work rate's improved. I think his the effectiveness of his press has improved as well. And he's doing it in a number 10 role where he can flourish a little bit more. He can use his passing range. He can use his vision. And of course, off the ball, he has shown a bit of improvement there. So I think that's why he's starting to chalk up more goals and assists. You look at Bowen as well, positionally. That's why he's starting to become involved a little bit more. And of course, Mikel Antonio. I could talk about Pablo Fornals. If I'm honest, I've always rated Pablo Fornals. I think defensively, absolutely superb. And he has improved in composure, in the final third, linking the play, the way that now there's more of an interchange with the attacking midfield three and positioning there further up. Again, lends to his passing ability, lends to his chances to create a 1v2 and get in behind and get in the box. So he's been able to flourish. I think Mikel Antonio has taken his game to another level. And I've always said Mickey Antonio is a player that again, can do multiple things that you'd want your number 9 to do. He can hold the ball up, he can run the channel, he can take on players and carry the ball. And again, when you have all of those facets in your play, it becomes very difficult for oppositions to play off of. But aside from that, he's so crucial to the way that we play and involving the likes of Fornals, Benrahma and Bowen. And I think the longer that this relationship has developed with the way, A, that West Ham wants to play, but B, we're very settled on those attacking midfield three now, that we've improved in the transition and they are just benefiting off what Mikel Antonio offers. But it's remiss to sit here and say that I don't feel that Antonio's actually improved. Leeds was a big one for me in terms of the finish. And Leicester as well. You know, he doesn't get the respect I feel because he looks like a very clunky football player. The stats will back it up, but how effective he is, and also how intelligent of a football player that you do have to be when he's lobbed it over the two Leicester defenders and he's taken his chance and got it past Schmeichel, or when he's anticipated the situation from Shackleton, played it past him and coolly finished past Millier. He's a player that I think is improving because he's become that number 9. And I don't think throughout his career it's been helpful for him to be playing in a multitude of different positions. By settling in this position, you're getting all of the positive attributes that he's had as a right winger, even, dare I say, as a right back, in progressing the ball, the strength that he offers. But I think him as a player, he's more intelligent in his positioning. And finishing wise, I think there has been an element of composure to him. He's taken his chances now. And that's really encouraging for me to see. And I think West Ham have benefited massively from that. I know disappointing against Brentford, and there have been results this season where West Ham probably should have won the game and got the 3 points. But those 3 players in particular, I think they kind of emphasise how West Ham have slightly changed the way that we want to implement ourselves on games now. We want to build up from the back. We want to dominate possession a little bit more, and we want to be giving more opportunities to our attacking midfielders. And what you've seen is, and in particular Mikel Antonio, and what you've seen is positionally, they are thriving in an attacking sense. Once we can try and shore up that gap between the defensive midfield and the attacking midfielders, I think West Ham will be able to deal with counter-attacks and sides that sit compact against us, or certainly over time, I think we'll deal with high presses. So there will be a middle ground where I think this will all be ironed out. But for now, like I say, Bowen, Benrahma, Antonio have been fantastic. And in particular, the last two, just in terms of improvement. And the one thing I'd say, and trying to sort of hook it back to Vlasic, it will happen, the improvement. Absolutely. It's only a case of time for me. I actually think Vlasic, in terms of an attacking midfielder, offers something different to Bowen and Benrahma that they've had to develop. And I think Bowen and Benrahma have developed the ability to use their body and then introduce their ball carrying abilities and their dynamism. What Vlasic already has, in my opinion, is he's very good at shielding the ball. He's very good under pressure. I think he has got the ability to deal with the physical demands. And I've seen things defensively that are encouraging. Once he gets up to the speed of the Premier League, which is definitely a step up, I think he's going to start contributing massively. And I think it will allow us in games where teams sit deep, he'll be the guy that can unpick the lock. And once you have a player like that, that means that Antonio isn't central to all of the hold-up play, it will change for West Ham. And I'm very hopeful of that. But that's a little summary of this season so far in terms of the key performers. I don't really want to talk about who's performed badly. It doesn't really sit right with me. But I can if it's something that you'd like to hear, or at least where can West Ham improve, or where West Ham have looked a little bit sloppy this season. I can, of course, do a video on that. I'm going to try and do ad hoc videos a little bit more. I enjoy it just in terms of off the cuff and talking a little bit about what's going on. And obviously at the minute with the international break, it kind of makes sense to just touch base with things. I did promise an All Things West Ham, and you will get an All Things West Ham. So if you did enjoy the video, drop a like, subscribe to the West Ham Way if you're watching and you're new. Check out the Patreon as well. I'm sure if you're down and you're a little bit bored and England's not quite doing it for you, of course, the lads have got the podcast over there, and then the West Ham Way website where you've got a 10 ton of articles that you can sink your teeth into. That's the promo done. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your evening.